One, two, three. Hello, fight fans. I am Jason Burgos for Sherdog.com, and this is another edition in the series chronicling the coronavirus's effect on the sport of MMA and its influencers. This time around, I have the great pleasure and honor of speaking with someone whose work I have very much admired for a long time. He's helped to further push Colorado as a hotspot for top MMA talent and training while working with and molding world-class talents like Anthony Smith, James Krause, Megan Anderson, Macy Barber, and many more. He's the owner and leader of Factory X. He is Marc Montoya. Marc, thank you for the time as we talk this new and frustrating status quo we are all living in right now in the world.
Yeah, what's up, Jason? Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. You're doing great stuff, so keep up the great work. And yeah, the whole coronavirus thing is really uncharted territory. It's water that we haven't navigated ever, and I think all of us are in the same boat. We're sitting here going, okay, with lemons, we got to make lemonade, and that's really what we're trying to do. And of course, stay uninfected, right? We don't want to get sick either. It is a flu, and I understand how rapid that it passes on and that type of thing. But the flu is the flu. I mean, being sick is being sick. It's just, I think it's all the other stuff. It's not the flu per se. It's the widespread panic, and it's what it's doing to everyone personally. Also, what it's doing to businesses just like mine. We run a gym that houses almost 500 students, and that's a lot of people to be affected. And obviously, as a small business owner, it's an interesting spot to be in today.
And I did some research, looking into what's going on in Colorado because everybody's kind of just worried what's going on in their own area for the most part. And I saw Colorado's lucky in that it hasn't had the cases say like we've got here in New York, where it's still in the low hundreds. Here in New York is getting close to 2,000. But the fascinating thing is I saw like unemployment rates skyrocketed in the last few days because so many businesses are closing, like yours being forced to close by the state government, local governments. How does something like this personally affect you? Like, how is this gonna personally affect you financially for the next few weeks? What does something like do, like you said, to a small business owner? Give me the point of view of a small business owner in a situation like this.
Yeah, for sure. It's a great question. The biggest thing is that obviously a big bulk of our income comes from regular students and kids. Of course, our athletes, our fighters, those guys are part of our income as well. But if we're speaking just strictly income, because that's what we're talking about, when you see something like this happen, we're talking strictly income. So two things. One thing is, as a business owner, we have a lot of responsibility. We have responsibility for our employees, our coaches that we have responsibility to them. We also have bills here that have to be paid, and those bills aren't stopping either, like everybody else's. And it's a consistent trickle-down effect. So how is it impacting us? Well, we have students that pay in monthly dues like any mixed martial arts gym, and we aren't able to train them personally like we would do every single day. And so we've had to be really creative with what we're going to do. And we've had an amazing amount of support from our student body. We have had some people text in, email in, call in and say, hey, I want to freeze my account. And one of the things we're saying to them is, of course, that's an option, but hey, support us here. We're going to provide online content, not just from the coaches that coach on a daily basis to our open students and kids. But, I'm putting out online content. I'm putting out online content for our entire student body. I'm having my other coaches put out online content. We're doing it daily. I'm having some of my guest fighters put out online content as this thing continues to go. And so, the cool part is how do you look at this? Now, I get it. If you're in a financial situation where you're not going to be able to eat and you can't have heat in your home and you have children and you have a wife to support or whatever, I get it, but I feel like that can be the minimum, and that shouldn't be the norm. You came here for a reason. It was to learn mixed martial arts and to get in shape, lose weight, learn self-defense, all the above. Give us the ability to help you get through this and do this. And to be honest with you, a lot of stuff that we're sharing online is the basics. And whether you're a fighter like Anthony Smith in UFC, or you're a student here that just started, a month ago, basics are key. And so if we can hone in basics for 2 weeks to 30 days and really sharpen that up, keep you in shape still, keep you mentally engaged, teach you tactics about different things like how do you stop a pressure fighter? How do you fight a taller fighter? How do you, those type of things, those things are really captive and can create the audience, keep the audience engaged. And we're just looking for ways to do this, because as a business, if we don't get the students to consistently still support us, both in support that they're going to come back when this is over and financially, a small business like mine, you're not going to have around. And so what do you do, right? And so with that, of course, we always have opportunities when we look at the business as when we have growth and as we grow and when we expand and all those type of things, we want to consistently have a budget there that gives us a safe net. And that's important to not live beyond our means, especially inside of the business. So do we have a slush fund, emergency fund, whatever you want to call it? Do we have that? Yes, but the unknown is just there. And so the unknown, to be honest with you, the only thing that we can depend on at this point is that things are going to change. And so whether it's for the good or the better, we just know that things are going to change. And so with that said, we're just trying to be on top of this, but we're also trying to provide a service and be very on top of it, like all business owners in my position are, to where, like I said earlier, we're given some lemons. Let's figure out how to make lemonade out of this thing, and let's be patient and let's calm down. Let's not freak out, because part of the reason we're in this position, I feel like there was a widespread panic amongst the entire world, which I'm not saying is right or wrong. I'm just saying let's stay calm. Yeah. Let's just stay calm here. Yes. And in mixed martial arts, we are taught from day one that amongst the storm coming at you, you're going to have to remain calm, bite down on your mouthpiece, and figure out how to get through all of this adversity. And so this is nothing new. It's just uncharted territory. But I'm willing to navigate through all of this and sail these seas that haven't been sailed, and still come out with a smile, and still have a business, and still have students, and still have athletes, especially athletes that are still in shape. Because like all of these cards that are getting postponed, remember I said postponed, not canceled. Right. That means that there's going to be opportunity. Yeah. And anytime there's things that have adversity, there's always opportunity in adversity. It's just how we look at it. So what I would say to most people is calm down, know that you're in the eye of the storm. We don't run away from storms, we run into it. That's something we say at Factory X all the time. We have an acronym, FEAR is, Forging Elite Athletes Running into Storms. Well, shit, guys, we're in the middle of a storm here. Yeah. We're going to run from it? Because it's cute to say. It's a cute thing to say when it's sunny outside. But, guys, we're in the middle of a storm right now. So, hey, put your rain jacket on, put your snow boots on, get your mouthpiece on. We're going to bite down on this thing, on the mouthpiece, and let's go run through the storm together. Let's not now splinter apart, because I think the biggest thing right now is that because you get isolated, or because you aren't at your workplace and you're working from home, or maybe your job isn't even present right now, that's the time to lean on the community, not run away from it and go, hey, now I'm going to be this guy in the corner panicking. No, man, lean on the community. That's part of what the gym's about. Is it's a community, it's camaraderie, it's a place of gathering. And yeah, we can't gather in person, but we can gather online. We can spread content. We can get better at the arts that we are trying to do. We can go look at. There's so much content online. So go take advantage of technology, and don't look at it as being bitter. Look at it as the sweet side of it. Of, hey, this gives me an opportunity to get better. This gives me an opportunity to go outside. This gives me an opportunity to be with my family more. This gives me an opportunity to go see online content. This gives me an opportunity to shore up the basics. Because how many times do we see people losing life because their basics, their foundation is not, and I'm not just speaking MMA, but their foundation is a little rickety. and then they try to build this beautiful house on top of a rickety foundation, and they wonder why it crumbles. So take advantage of the foundation. Let's go. I mean, the foundational piece we're trying to provide for you daily anyway, whether you were in the gym or not. But online, that's really what you're going to get. You're going to get foundational stuff because you don't have bodies and equipment, and you're going to build your metabolic system. Well, that's great, because when you come back in 2 weeks or 30 days, man, you're ready to rock and roll if you're some of the participants in there doing that.
You mentioned like having that safety net and stuff like that. Is there like a cutoff point? Is there a point where then the pressure really would set in? Like, are you guys good for a couple of months or a couple of weeks? Is there something for you in terms of like, man, we have to try to get back to normalcy before this point, or it could really get tough?
Sure. I'm a fighter, man. I was born and raised a fighter. I was a fighter. I'm a coach. I train fighters. I train just general Joes coming off the street that want to participate in the mixed martial arts. The bottom line is, whatever the time period is, we're going to fight through this thing and figure it out. I mean, at this point, that's all we can do. And so I'm not going to sit here and say the sky's falling. I'm not going to be one of those people. I'm going to find an opportunity inside of adversity, and whatever the time period is, it is, and we're going to deal with it. Do I hope that it's short? Yes. If it's longer than that, I'm going to deal with it, and we're going to just continue to fight. And listen, man, I didn't get to this point by just sitting around and hoping everything was going to happen. There's been a lot of times that there's been storms amongst the time. I've been doing this for 20 plus years. I've been in business for over 10. So believe me, there's been plenty of times where we've had storms inside of the business where we're like, oh shit, we've got to buckle down and figure this out. So this is just a different thing. So I don't know what the time is. I don't know what it looks like. All I know is I'm going to keep fighting. That's what I was born as, and that's what I'm born to do, and that's what I'm born to continue to tell people is stop worrying about the when. You know, we as a team read books on a monthly basis as a team. The book we just got done with was a book from the rapper Russ, and one of the quotes that he says in there is, you have to trust the what, fuck the when, and know the why, right? And so I would say right now, you got to trust the what and the why, and fuck the when. Because at the end of the day, if we're just going to really just sit and look at the when only, we're gonna lose our mind. So, and you know, yesterday's history, tomorrow's a mystery, today's the present, so let's treat it that way. That's the only thing I could do. And I preach that stuff every single day, by the way, regardless of the coronavirus, regardless of the city or state or the government saying we got to do X, Y, Z. And I truly believe it. I don't say it just to say it because it sounds cute. I say it because I mean it. And, you know, like I said, an acronym we have is FEAR is forging elite athletes running into storms. Well, don't run away from it now. Let's fucking run into this thing. Let's go. Like, it's going to pass. If we run into it, it's going to pass. And so, you know, if you run away from it, it's going to stay over your head and it's going to be gloomy for a while. I refuse to do that.
Now, one of the frustrating things on a more, you know, surface level is the kids lose out on something like this. Like, I was looking up, I don't know if school closings have happened in Colorado. It's happened here in New York. At least in New York City, it's going to be closed for a month. And I was talking to Julio Arce about his Tiger Showman school, about this being closed. Kids can't go to school. Now they can't go to the gym, you know, that great structure that they have. Is part of you, the teacher in you, you know, the father in you, like, is there like a frustration, like, damn, man, like, the kids are going to be stuck at home, or they're going to go outside, like, you know, and that's why the online content is so imperative, you know, to keep that structure, to keep that normalcy, because with kids, it's kind of routine. It's so important.
Yeah, you know, the generation that we deal with right now is a generation that has not, this isn't coming from me, this is coming from research and scientists saying that we teach a very visual-oriented audience. So the part of it is all the devices we have. Part of it is all the online content that's out there. And I'm not even speaking about the MMA content that we're putting out for students. But the day we live in right now, we are teaching that type of person. And so, again, is it half full or half empty? That I really think that's what we have to look at is, okay, the kid's inside. Well, I'm older than some of the audience on here, but I didn't have these devices when I was a kid.
Yep.
So whether it was rain, snow, or shine, mom and dad or whomever, grandparents, whoever you lived with, was like, "Yo, go outside, do something,"
Yeah.
right? And the other thing is you can really teach your kids. You have some time to spend with your kids. I know some people don't have that luxury because they're working from home, and so it does pose a bigger issue because now they're trying to work and be a parent at the same time. So I understand that, but isn't this an opportunity to teach kids about more than just them going to school, more than just going to the mixed martial arts gym, about, hey, what about the parents getting engaged with the child with the online content that we're giving? And being their partner, for example, with the online content, or doing it side by side with them, just to say, hey, man, this is a different time, different water. And so that's the thing is the parents, they could look at it and be like, hey, man, now my kids indoors and they don't have the gym as an outlet anymore, and they don't have school, but they've got you.
True.
And they've got online content, and they've got the outdoors. And to be honest with you, that's what we're given. So let's just deal with it and work around it. Now, I'm not saying that I don't want those kids back. I don't want our students back. No, man, I want them back today. I want them back yesterday. I want to teach. That's what's in my blood. I want to teach them, and I want to give them the community they're after, and the camaraderie, and the learning, and all the stuff that they're doing here, and the weight loss, and learning how to defend yourself, and the confidence they get from all this. I want that to open. I want it to be ready to do that and provide that to our students. But if this is a situation we're given, again, here's the other thing I'd say, Jason. This is temporary. This is temporary. Every March and April, we go through a flu season. Just the way life goes. I know this one's different, and this is shut us down, but it's temporary. Yeah, the biggest thing I would say is that this is temporary, man. It's crazy because in 2008, we started Factory X, which, if you remember, economically, that was a rough time.
Yep.
Okay. I just put my head down and didn't get two shits about what this news was saying, what people were saying about the economics. And I just said, listen, I'm going to do this. I'm going to start this thing. I'm going to get after it. And I know I still got to work my regular job, but I'm going to still put the time in here. And now we're in 2020. And we've been able to impact so many lives because of a decision like that. 2008, though, for example, you didn't really have an idea of what the hell was going to happen. There wasn't a time period there. There wasn't another country that went through it and was like, hey, guys, don't worry. It could be a little worse or a little less for you, but it is going to pass. Yeah. Right? So this thing is temporary. So let's stop treating this thing like it's going to be here for multiple years or an unknown time period. Yeah, is a little bit of an unknown? Yeah, it is. But really, to be honest with you, don't we deal with a flu every effing spring? We do. So it is temporary. Does it suck? Is it impacting us? Yeah, it is if we choose to think that way. But I'm not going to think that way. I'm not going to allow the people around me to have a woe is me attitude or the sky is falling type thing. And I'm going to be infectious that way. I'm going to be on the other side, right? and that's I guess that's one of the attributes I have as a coach and as a fighter, ex-fighter, and as a person, is that I'm not going to feed into the nonsense people are trying to feed me. I'm going to recognize that this is real. I'm going to take all the steps I have to as an adult and as a business owner. But at the end of the day, man, I'm going to find an opportunity to get through this bitch and not allow for a storm to just stay over my head and then worry about the aftermath. Well, I don't know what the aftermath's going to be. I'll deal with it when that comes. But today, I provided online content. Today, I told my family I loved them. Today, I hung out with my son and we drilled and we did some stuff. Today, I impacted NFL football players that I got to discuss and see. Today, I got to do some good things because I chose to do that. But if I don't choose to do that and I just stay in my home and say, shit, the sky's falling and business is going to go to shit, and what if, then you know what, man, you're going to lose your mind. So I'm not doing that. And I'm not going to allow the people around me to do that. And I'm going to go on every site just like yours and say the same shit. Let's stop doing that, because what you say out loud absolutely can come true, right? And the things you say out loud, it's been proven, are 4 to 7 times more likely to happen. And so that's just a fact. And Jason, I deal with the mental side of life and sport every single day. You know how many times a guy comes in here and is down and like, coach, the world's crumbling in on me. You know, I have that conversation daily, weekly, monthly, every day. So I feel like we've been hardened to deal with this stuff. And whether you are a fighter or not, so have you. So have you as a person, so is your family, so is people around you. Yeah. But it just depends on what you decide to really focus on, right? I mean, that's really what it's about. In 2008, I shouldn't have been a success in 2020. Let's be real. I started a brand new business. Most experts would say, you're crazy. Well, I tell most experts, yeah, you're right, I am. But I'm not willing to listen to you, and I'm willing to go and figure out ways around the restrictions that are put in place.
One of the frustrating things about the measures, and understandable so, that various states take, countries, governments are taking with this, is that MMA fighters can't weather the storm like NFL, the MLB players, and all these players making millions of dollars. A lot of them have day jobs. I mean, we got 3 UFC events canceled. Bellator wasn't even putting on a show until May anyway. LFA, KSW, all postponed. One championship's going to do empty arenas starting at the end of April. How tough is it for the MMA fighter right now? And you've been around so long, you've seen fighters when the industry is strong go up and down losing money. But these guys have day jobs. I was talking to Javier a couple of weeks ago. He still works at Target, the job he had since high school, and those jobs could be closed now. So you can't even have the MMA money and then your job money. Like, this is a crazy difficult time to be a professional mixed martial arts athlete.
Yeah, again, they have to find that opportunity. They do. They have to find opportunity. If they can't train 2-3 times a day like they can right now, I'll tell you one job that's going off the freaking handle right now is delivering food.
It's true.
The construction industry, those type of things. So stop worrying about what you can't do and go figure out an opportunity of what you can do. Yeah, most athletes that are fighting in MMA, even at the highest level, even at the UFC level, a lot of those guys, unless they're on their 3rd, 4th contract, a lot of those guys are still working jobs or have side businesses or what have you. Now, if we get put into a spot where you got to do whatever it takes to take care of you and your family. See, I've been in this position multiple times in my life, so I feel like I can speak about this. My daughter was born 3 months premature. My wife and my daughter almost died. Wow. And it took us 3 months to get our daughter out of the NICU. And it took us 2 years to get my daughter out of the woods, okay? When people say, when the sun's shining, people say, man, I'll do whatever it takes to take care of my family. But when the storm comes, the question is, are you really willing to go do that? Because when I refer back to what I said about my daughter and my wife, at the time I had my own business. Well, my own business required for me, and it's not this business, it's not my MMA business. At the time I had my own business. That business required me to be in the business in order to make money, right? But because of the distraction and my family's health, it didn't allow me to be in the business. So let me tell you what I had to go do. I had to, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with this. I'm just saying it's not what I was doing. I went to the car industry and I started selling cars because I knew it would give me an opportunity to make fast money for my family, and that my family needed me. My business that I was running wasn't going to happen. It wasn't working. I didn't have control of that. I didn't ask for my wife and my daughter to almost die. I didn't ask for my daughter to take 2 years of 2 to 3 times rehab daily to be able to be a functioning normal kid. I didn't ask for that. That was out of my control. What was in my control? I looked at it and I said, I don't know. But what I'm doing right now is not going to pay for the bills that I have coming in, especially the debt that I was incurring via medical bills that weren't even covered via insurance. So my point in saying this is I feel very comfortable talking about this when it's like, okay, whatever it takes to go take care of your family, go frickin' do. If that means for the next month you're not working at Target, but you're delivering food because it's going to pay you more or the same that Target was going to do, then go do that. If you need to go pick up a shovel and do that, if I have to do that, I'll go do it. I've done it multiple times in my life. I'll do it. But it's temporary. Does it suck? It's fucking terrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if that's what we have to do to take care of our family, then that's what we're going to have to do. And all the people you're speaking about, by the way, are fighters.
Yeah.
They know what it's like to get gritty and dirty and have to do what they have to do to win a fight. They know what it's like to win in life. And so I'm confident, especially in that community, that they can go do that. But the big word there is can. They can go do that. Will they is the question, or will they sit back and go, man, it's snowing like a mother, and I'm not going to do anything about it. Yeah. And so that's my point is, yes, it's a tough spot. It's a tough spot for everybody. It's a tough spot for the fighters. I feel bad for them. It sucks, but I've told my entire team, and I have a big team. I said, listen, whatever you guys need to do at this present moment to take care of you and your family, do. If training has to be put on the back burner, then do that. If we can go train outdoors and do the things that we can do as a small groups, then let's do that in addition to what you're doing. If you can't do any of the training at all and you need to just work, then do that. This is temporary. We'll get you back. We'll be fine. Right? Yeah. So again, I'm gonna say that till the wheels come off. This shit is gonna pass. Yeah. This is not the end all be all. It's gonna pass. I don't know when. Is it gonna impact me? 100% it will. Financially, will it? Yes. Will we not have fights for months on end? Will I have kids sitting there going, Coach, when am I gonna fight? And I don't have the answers. 100%. But will it normalize itself back out? Yeah. Is there going to be a ripple effect? Yeah. But just be prepared. It's coming.
Now, I got to talk the career in terms of coaching and the fighters, the talented fighters you help train and prepare for massive fights and get away from the Corona stuff because it is a downer. It is depressing in a way. Ian Heinisch, he's bouncing back from the first losing streak of his career and his first losses since 2017. Very talented fighter. How does he bounce back from this particular situation? Like, are there things that you guys been looking at and seeing an obvious changes he needs to make? Does there need to be a reinvention? Where does he go from here? Because he's too talented not to come back strong. And what is that path to coming back strong?
Well, I think it's not just Ian, for example. There's been most fighters that have done this for a long time have been put in a position where they're coming off a loss or they're coming off multiple losses. So I don't think it's just specific to just him, for example. What I would talk about is in generalities when fighters have coming off multiple losses. I've done this for a long time as a coach. So unfortunately and fortunately, I've dealt with this multiple times over. So here's what has to happen. Anytime a fighter is coming off a multiple fight loss streak, they absolutely have to look inward. Looking inward is the first thing, because sometimes fighters don't want to do that. They want to look outward, and they want to look at change, and they want to look at the coach, and they want to look at the gym, and they want to look at their training partners, and they want to look at external things. Now, external things do have to be looked at, but not first. Internal things need to be looked at first. That's what needs to happen first, is look internally, okay? And then if you will take extreme ownership of where you're at, then you give yourself the ability to then grow. If you don't take extreme ownership of where they're at specifically, then they don't get the growth piece that happens, okay? So first, look internally. Second, go speak with the people that are influencing you, right? So now let's look externally. Let's look at coaches. Let's look at your training. Let's look at your diet. Let's look at sleep. Let's look at all the things that encompass what you're doing, okay? How can we be better? Because whether you're on a 10-fight win streak or a 2-fight losing streak, we can always be better as a unit. And have those external people take ownership on their end too. So like you talked specifically about Ian. Ian losing 2 fights, yes, he's the one that gets in the cage, but he's not the one that lost the 2 fights only. We have lost those 2 fights. We have to get better. We have to give him the opportunity to go out and start a winning streak. We have to go out and look internally as well and figure out how do we stop the bleeding on this thing. And, you know, it's hard to do. It's hard to do because I know as a coach, I've been in positions before where I've been like, man, I want to take ownership on this thing, but I feel like I did everything I could in this. But at the end of the day, if I'm a leader, if I'm the leader, which I am, it doesn't matter what I've done. We didn't get the job done. So at the end of the day, it's not about the losses to any athlete. It's not them, it's me. As their coach, I take ownership for that. I look at and assess, and I go to my coaching staff and I say, hey, listen, this is what's happening with this individual. This is what's happening as a group. This is what's happening, whether it's good or bad. And I figure that out with myself and the coaching staff and the team. But first of all, I got to take ownership first in order to go and preach to them, yo, you got to take ownership too, right? And so when it comes to that, that's what has to happen. That assessment has to happen. And sometimes people leave, by the way. Sometimes when tough stuff happens, sometimes people find other opportunities and they decide that that's what's best for them. And okay, fair enough. But that's not going to happen on my watch without us taking our ownership and trying to do what's best for an athlete and coaching them through this. And part of it is that they lose confidence. They lose mental confidence because they're not physically worse. No, it's mental confidence. So we've got to work on the mental side. We've got to work not just on the physical side. We've got to buy in as a group to read a book a month together and learn from that book. We've got, like right now, we're reading Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, and we're reading that for March. Isn't that a great book to be reading right now with everything going on, where a guy that all he's done is figured out a way to persevere through what's being thrown at him? Well, I mean, you know, we've got to go and we've got to dive inside of ourselves mentally too. And as coaches, we have to do it. And as athletes, we have to do it. And if we're speaking the same language, if I'm doing it and the coaches are doing it and the athletes are doing it, and we're speaking the same language, it's very easy to sit there and go, hey guys, let's dig down deep here. Let's have a calloused mind, like David Goggins is saying in his book. Let's have a calloused mind. Let's learn how to do this, right? We read The Energy Bus by John Gordon. He says, you know, one of the things we took from that is no energy vampires, right? What's our energy like? The only thing we can control is attitude and energy. So if we're going to control attitude and energy, we can then persevere through losses. So, but man, I'll tell you, Jason, that stuff is the hardest stuff to do. Because that means that you got to look inward and be like, oh shit, it is me. It's not all them. And if all of them are going, shit, it is me too, then we have a strong nucleus and we can go out and figure out how to navigate through losing streaks. And I've done it as a coach. I've done it with many high-level athletes, and I'll continue to do it. And I've done it as a coach on winning streaks. So they're no different, I gotta be honest, because on a winning streak, think about it, they're as fragile as they are on a losing streak because they don't want to lose the winning streak. So the fragility is still there. It's just how we deal with all of it.
I'm gonna ask about James Krause too, but since you were talking about the mental side, the internal side, what are your thoughts on sports psychologists? Because I feel like when a lot of fighters have gone to them, it's been very beneficial for them. When I was talking to Julio Arce earlier, he's starting to see a sports psychologist now after this last split decision loss. What are your thoughts on it? Since you're showing think highly in importance of the mental side of game and stuff like that. Are you a big believer in the benefits of a sports psychologist?
I wouldn't say specifically a sports psychologist, but if that's what the athlete needs, then yeah, I am. I'm all in. I would say that they have to sharpen up their mental side. That's the bottom line. You can't just work the exterior,
right?
And be in phenomenal shape and have 47 abs and look great with your shirt off, but internally you're a mess.
Yeah.
You can't. You've got to work the mind just as much as you're working the body, if not more, to be honest. And so that's why I'm saying, I've asked my team, I said, how many of you guys have ever read 12 books in a year? Not only, the two that said they had were in prison.
Ah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So for the most part, if you weren't thrown in prison, you haven't done that.
Yeah.
And we're reading phenomenal books. And so we're reading things that are there to push you and help you grow and teaching you how people have gone through this stuff personally. This isn't theory. This is actual reality of doing this. We're learning by people that are smarter than us how to do this. So if it's tapping into reading, if it's tapping into meditation, if it's tapping into a sports psychologist, I don't give a shit what it is. At the end of the day, go work the brain.
Yeah.
If you believe that that's what's going to help you persevere and you truly believe that, then it'll happen. If you're doing it because it's an assignment, you won't grow. You won't grow. So make it a growth opportunity, and you truly feel that and believe that. Great. I mean, that's awesome. That's what you do. There's a book out right now. It's called It's What It Takes, I believe it's called. What It Takes is What It Takes is What It Takes. That's what it's called. Okay. They tell a story in there, and it says that there's a gentleman that works on freezers. Okay. He goes into commercial freezers, and when they break down or when they need new Freon or whatever it needs, he goes in and he maintains those freezer units. Okay. The gentleman goes in there, he gets stuck. The door locks on one of the freezers. He gets stuck in there. Okay. He's in there going, of course, panicking, going, he can't get a hold of anybody. His phone, for whatever reason, is not on his body. He can't let anyone know he's stuck in the freezer. Okay. And obviously we know at freezing temperatures, we're not going to last that long. Okay. The quick and short of this is he starts writing down his feelings. His feelings are that it's getting colder. He's saying it's getting colder. I can feel my body temperature lowering. It's getting colder. And he's consistently writing down what his body feels like, and it's shutting down and it's shutting down. Eventually that gentleman dies. Okay. When they find his body, do you know that the freezer never got below 52 degrees? Because the freezer actually was malfunctioning, and he just couldn't assess all this, and he got locked, he panicked. He told his mind that that's what is happening, and he died. So the point is what you tell yourself is what you tell yourself. And that's true. The gentleman who dies at 52 degrees.
Yeah.
I'm not, I feel really bad for that gentleman.
Yeah.
My point in saying that is not to make light of him, because I feel really bad for him and his family. But my whole point in saying that is your mind is so strong that what you tell your mind is true. And so if you believe having a sports psychologist is going to help you win your next fight, I'm all in. It's just what I would ask as a coach is allow me and the sports psychologist to have good communication with you, so that I know the athlete better than the sports psychologist does, at least going into it. So let me help my athlete, and let me help the sports psychologist, and let's do this as a trinity, and let's figure this out together, because I want to learn too, right? And I'm going to play a psychologist every single day. And I think I'm probably more well equipped than most because of all the stuff I've had to deal with. But at the end of the day, that's their profession.
Yeah.
So let's let them do that. But I would love to assist in that and have communication there.
Now, going to James Krause, I talked to him after his last fight. I've talked to him a couple times. I love James Krause. I mean, just fun to watch, but just smart outside the industry, how he's used his money, how he's set up his life. He's good to go. I appreciate that. He should be the template for every fighter. But just the massive cojones he showed in that last fight, going up in weight, fighting a fight he really didn't need to fight, on less than a day's notice. I'm sure you were there. Thoughts on that? Thoughts on this guy's unbelievableness?
Well, first, props to James. You got to have the mental and physical side intact. But yes, everyone's saying he's got big balls to do it, but it's calculated. Nothing James does or I do isn't calculated. So let's rewind, okay? One of the reasons I love training James Krause is because James Krause consistently trains, he consistently grows mentally, he consistently is on the mat, he consistently coaches, he consistently is in the game and not disrespecting MMA. He's not a fighter that comes off the wheels after fight time happens and he balloons up and he's 60 pounds overweight, and then he's got to fight his way all the way back down to weight and keeps doing this yo-yo thing. He's not a guy that leaves the mat for a long period of time. He's also, think about how imperative and important this is. He's also not a guy that does drugs, because if he was smoking even weed and we were 18 hours pre the fight and USADA tested him, which they did, he's not eligible to make that decision when we're sitting at the lunch table if he's a known guy that smokes even just weed. Even though it's legal in Colorado, even though it's legal around a lot of places, he's not a guy that does that because he doesn't disrespect the game, because he knows that as an athlete, I've got a short window to capitalize as an athlete, and I'm going to use the athlete piece to step stone what I want to do later, because he understands that it's going to be over. But while we're in it, let's do this thing with reckless abandon, in the sense of let's take this serious and let's do everything we can to maximize opportunity. So if you rewind back like that and know that about James Krause and know that he's also opportunistic, there's an opportunity to make money there. We improved his contract. He got more money for the fight. He put himself financially also in a position to better his family. So if you take all those things involved, and we like the matchup, right? So say what you want to say about the fight, whether you won or lost. I'm not here to dispute that. I will tell you that judge that gave Giles a 10-9 round in the first has lost his mind. Okay? But I'm not here to dispute the result. What I'm here to tell you, though, are the facts. The facts are that if he doesn't do all those things daily consistently, and that if I don't know that he does all those daily consistently, I say hell no to that opportunity. I'm like, no way. But James and I just got done training. I'm not exaggerating either. The day before, so we took the fight on the Friday at around 2 o'clock, 2:30. We said yes to it. We didn't get acceptance of that for another hour and a half. But the point is that the day before, he and I trained 2 3-hour sessions together. Because we were together, we were like, we don't have anything else to do. My athletes were taken care of that were on the card there. I already trained them. They were getting ready to cut weight that night. It was a Thursday. And he and I trained 2 sessions, 3 hours apiece. We did pad work. We rolled. We did everything that we could figure out to do. We bounced ideas off each other for different techniques and business ideas. We did everything throughout that entire day. He was still in good shape. He wasn't in phenomenal shape. You saw that in the second round. Okay. He wasn't in fight shape like we typically have him in. But bro, he took the fight on 18 effing hours. So, and he trained 6 hours before the day before. So he was in good enough shape. And I know all these things about him. And I knew he'd be able to pass the drug test and we wouldn't look like fools. And so he just put himself in, like, he put himself uncommon amongst the common. And I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. That's one thing I love about him. Yeah, he's got a set of balls on him for sure. Yes, is he crazy? Yeah, but he fucking fights for a living. They're all crazy. Kidding me? So, in a good way, by the way. But he calculates everything, and so do I. I would have never let him take that opportunity if he was grossly out of shape, if he doesn't train consistently, if he didn't have the mental fortitude to push like he had to. Did you see him push in the third round?
Yeah, unbelievable.
He came back.
Unbelievable.
That's all we talked about between the second and third. James, you're going to have to push to depths that you've never pushed before. Yeah. You're going to have to find gears that you don't even know exist. You're going to have to go out here and win a round, bro. And he did that. You can argue whether he won the third round or not, but he went out there and did it. He didn't quit. He did it.
Yep.
And, man, I have so much respect for him for that. Like, I can't even explain to you how much respect I have for James Krause for what he did coming off the stool between the second and third round. He got his butt kicked in the second round. He was tired. Yeah. He was trying to choke the guy for 4 minutes. He was tired. We hadn't trained to fight. Giles had been training for a training camp for this fight. Okay, but so again, man, that's my point is, how do you not love James Krause?
Now, last question. UFC Norfolk was pretty much almost like a contender to Amanda Nunes showcase with Felicia Spencer, Megan Anderson. A lot of people thought Megan Anderson had earned that opportunity to get to fight for a title. It's looking like it's going to be Felicia Spencer and Nunes at 250. I mean, going back to the mentality thing, because I'm sure she's got to be frustrated and stuff like that, and you had to play psychologist many times. How do you play psychologist in a tough spot like that? You think you've earned a title shot, a life-changing opportunity. It doesn't happen. You kind of get pushed aside. For somebody who's already gotten a title shot before, how do you, get across, look, it's not the end of the world. We'll just keep trucking along.
So with the Megan Anderson piece, you got to remember James Krause trains Megan. I've helped with Megan in the past, but in the recent past and to today, James Krause trains her. So the thing about that, though, that I can speak on is I can speak very vividly because I know Megan well, and I know, of course, James and I talk almost daily. I look at James Krause as a branch off the tree. Like if you look at Coach Belichick, right? Or if you look at Bill Parcells, and he's got his lineage of coaches, James Krause is like that to me. So is James his own person? Does James have his own style that's different from mine? Yes. But he's still from the same lineage. I'm still his head coach for a reason, right? And so is he a head coach to other people like Megan, Grant Dawson, those type of people? Yes, absolutely. But he's from the same tree. He's a branch off the same root system. So I can speak on what you just asked with Anthony Smith specifically, because Anthony Smith and Megan essentially parallel each other in the sense that Anthony Smith, everyone's forgot about Anthony Smith because Anthony Smith's been hurt. But remember, you're not going to forget about him again here soon because he's going to go fight Glover and do the same thing that he's been doing in the past, which is winning and finishing fights and then getting an opportunity to fight for another world title. I truly believe that. But I want you to think about something. He goes on a crazy win streak, fights John Jones. We didn't capitalize on our opportunity against John Jones. We lose that fight. We go fight one of the best light heavyweights that the UFC in the world has ever seen in Gustafsson, in Stockholm, Sweden, by the way, his home country, with his home fans. And Anthony Smith finished him. Say what you want about whether he's in his prime or I don't give a shit about that. He's Alexander Gustafsson, one of the best 205ers in the world, still to this date, even retired. Okay? Anthony Smith goes and finishes him in his own home country. Anthony Smith isn't being looked at a title as a fighting for the title again, partly because he was injured. He broke his hand in that fight. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So he broke his hand in that fight. He has to have multiple hand surgeries because the hand wasn't right after the first time. His hand's fine now, but people forget people when they go on the IR like that.
Yeah.
Right? Anthony Smith's name isn't being thrown around at all when you're watching Reyes and Jones fight. What are you talking about? Anthony Smith is number 3 in the world. So it's funny. That's how sports is. But Anthony Smith can look at it and be like, oh, poor me. They're not. No, fuck poor me. Let's go beat Glover like we've done in the past. And then let's go push for a title again because he's right there to have one. And he's earned that. He doesn't deserve shit. He earned the opportunity to be where he's at. He's earned the number by his name. He's earned an opportunity with one of the, or actually the best, in my opinion, mixed martial artist ever, being John Jones. He earned that opportunity. Did we not capitalize in that fight? Did we not win that fight? Did we not put on the performance that we thought we could put on? No, we didn't. And I'm the first to take the ownership of it and say we didn't. But that doesn't mean that he doesn't earn another opportunity. So Megan and Anthony are sitting in a very similar position. Now, what I would say to Megan and what I've said to James and what I've said to Anthony is just go prove worth again. Just go out there and prove worth again. Show that you're Anthony F. and Smith and you finish fighters that are put in front of you. And you'll consistently do that regardless of what the name is. And let's go do that against Glover. And I have high regard and respect for Glover. He's an amazing mixed martial artist and he's been a trailblazer in our sport. But let's go finish him. And then let's go push for our title opportunity again. And then let's go redeem. And let's go have that again. And let's go relive all that again. And let's do that. So with that said, that's my 2 cents when it comes to any position, whether it's Megan, Anthony, or anybody else in this sport. Sometimes stuff happens and you got to just go show your worth again and prove who you are and make people recognize based on not deserving but earning.